and welcome to Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I'm Lara Cotter.
And I'm Sky Orchard.
And we have a special episode for you today. So last week we had the time travel Sabrina episode, and this week we are watching the other 3 time travel TGIF episodes. So it's Sabrina adjacent, and Sabrina does appear in some of these episodes. Salem appears in all of them. But we are going to be reviewing Boy Meets World, You Wish, and Teen Angel. I think it's going to be interesting. So, Sky, the question for this episode, out of these 3 shows, which one are you most likely to actually watch another episode of?
Boy Meets World.
I think everybody knows that I also love Boy Meets World. So taking Boy Meets World out of the equation, I think I'd actually watch another episode, maybe just one more episode of You Wish, because I just have so many questions about that show that I just don't know what that show is.
I feel like that was the wrong episode to be a first episode.
I feel like if you're going to do something like this, like that's a crossover where you're bringing in audiences that maybe don't normally watch these shows, you need to have a little bit more background into who characters are, what relationships are. And I feel like we did not get that in Teen Angel and You Wish. I think we got a little bit in Boy Meets World, but man, this was interesting to go in cold. Even knowing, like, I knew the premises of You Wish and Teen Angel, and I was still very much like, what? Okay, do we have, like, overall thoughts of, like, how the story arc of the night, starting with Sabrina, ending with Teen Angel, was it worth it? I think it could have been done better. I mean, I guess it was cute.
Yeah, I think it could have been done better. I think it actually helped. So I watched Boy Meets World via Disney Plus, and then You Wish. I want to keep calling it As You Wish. You Wish and Teen Angel via YouTube, and You Wish was a boring YouTube video there, but the Teen Angel one I found was actually like the recording of that night. So it had the actual commercials that were there and like the TGIF Salem pop-ups mid-episode there. And so it was nice to like see that part of making it feel like a whole thing, and I wish I had found Boy Meets World and You Wish like direct recordings from that evening. And if anyone were to go and watch these with us, I'd say go that route and find all 3 on YouTube with the original commercials, which were great. I noted them for the Teen Angel episode and whatnot there.
I definitely watched the You Wish one with commercials because I got really excited when there was a Double Mint commercial on, and I started singing the Double Mint song. All right, so we're going to do brief intros of these episodes. Like, I'm not going to go through every actor that's in them. I'm actually not going to talk about any of the actors. And we're going to do short summaries that I did not actually write, and I will give credit to where I stole them from. Mostly because I was like, I have to watch 3 episodes. I'm not watching all 3 episodes twice. I took some shortcuts this time around. So let's get into our Boy Meets World recap. This episode, it's season 5, episode 6 for them, where it's episode 8 for Sabrina, because I think maybe Sabrina's back-to-back beginning took over Boy Meets World slot at the beginning of the season. But it's weird. They're all a little bit off in their numbers, and I don't know what's happening. The Boy Meets World episode is titled No Guts, No Cory, and our description is that Salem the Cat uses a time ball to transport Cory back to the 1940s. Cory is shipped off to fight in World War II and must leave Topanga behind. It was directed by Alan Meyerson and written by Laura Olson and Patricia Carr. All right, Sky, you have some overall thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I had to write them ahead of time. Normally, I don't have my superpower right now, which is I just normally watch this episode for the first time right before we record, so I can't forget anything. I watch these Friday at night after hiking for several miles. So I had to write things down or else I would be even more lost than I probably am about to be soon. I've also had so much caffeine, not gonna lie, that my heart's doing like the little pitter patter that you get when you know you've gone over the medical recommended.
Yep. I've been there so many times.
It's great.
Okay, so what are your overall thoughts, Sky, on this episode?
So it has been a long time since I've watched Boy Meets World, and I think I only maybe got through season 1 of your DVDs, maybe into part of season 2, because a lot of this I didn't remember. I didn't remember Eric the brother, but I will watch Boy Meets World solely for Eric. He is the likable character.
Oh, yeah.
In that cast for me.
Yes. I will say that there are some season 7 Eric moments where he becomes an asshole for no reason. And you're just kind of like, this is a weird character turn. But yes, Eric is by far the high point of Boy Meets World overall.
Eric's the one the witches try and eat, right?
No, he's the one who saves Jack and Sean.
Oh, okay.
You should still watch The Witches of Pembroke because it's a gem of a show. It's insane, but it's wonderful.
I'll do that. And then Cory isn't that great of a dude to Topanga, I feel like.
No.
Because of like the lounge lizard ski lodge chick, and then being like, oh, but let me re-kiss this French girl again just in case.
That is a recurring theme in the Pod Meets World podcast. They just rewatched an episode that's kind of like a heavier episode, and Cory says something along the lines of like, I remember everything you've ever told me, Topanga, but like 2 episodes earlier they're playing a game and he can't answer anything about her and even gets it wrong that she's left-handed when she's actually right-handed. So he's not overall a great boyfriend when you look back at it with adult eyes. With teenage eyes, yeah, it all seems great, but as an adult you're like, maybe not.
Catching the things. Look at me go.
I will say, so one thing I do know from listening to Pod Meets World is that Boy Meets World were the last to choose the decade that they went back to. And so they kind of got stuck with the 40s. And the cast was kind of like, why would we choose to go to World War II?
We want to go to war.
So they couldn't do the 80s because it'd been too recent. And the 30s would be the Great Depression. So that would also not be great. So I feel like they should have maybe done the 20s.
Oh, yeah.
But choosing Nazi Germany for a fun flashback time travel episode is certainly a choice.
That it was.
I will get into it, but the timeline of this episode is wild and I don't understand it. So the summary that I stole from the Boy Meets World wiki, transported back to World War II in the 1940s by Salem of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Cory, Sean, Alan, and Jack all volunteer to join the army and fight in Europe. Eric attempts to join, but is denied because he is ticklish and is a torture risk, although Jack states that he was deemed mentally ill. To compensate, he makes up a story about staying behind to protect the Liberty Bell. Shortly before shipping off, Cory proposes to Topanga, who accepts. And the end of that first scene, where we get the super dramatic intro of like, war has been declared, the attack on Pearl Harbor. Sean comes up to Cory and is like, are you going to war with me? And then we get the, when this boy meets world. It was a very sharp turn. I will also have issues with all of the mothers in these shows. For some reason, the moms are just terribly written. I also can't figure out Amy's first outfit where she's in a dress, but it also looks like an apron, but they're the same fabric. And I can't tell if it's all one piece or not. And then my other note was 5 minutes in, and Eric is the best part of this episode when he gives Jack the picture. And Jack's like, people will talk. And Eric says, I know, that's a great picture of me. They also gave all of the 40 slang to Topanga. No one else uses 40 slang except for Topanga.
Salem allowed himself to be held far too long before triggering them back to the 1940s. Cory should have some claw gouges, is what I wrote in my notes there. And then, despite going back to the 40s, it is nice to see that school isn't segregated, but they probably just forgot, you know. And then I did like Feeney's line of, don't say ain't, your mother will faint. Just because you're shipping out to the army doesn't mean you have to talk like a sailor.
Overseas, morale of Alan and co. is wearing thin. Cory is lonely as he is reduced to playing the harmonica and reading letters from Topanga quietly in his head. Before going into battle, Cory tells Sean that if he dies and Sean survives, Sean should marry Topanga. Reluctantly, Sean agrees. Which is just, I know that's a thing people did, but it was weird. Topanga gets apparently no option in this. As soon as the radio informs them of a truce, Cory runs out before hearing that the ceasefire will begin in 24 hours. An explosion sends Cory's dog tags into Sean's hands and convinces everyone that he is dead. As Cory is reading his letter, right behind him you can see Jack and you can see another guy, and the other guy is just staring at a box in his hands while Cory reads his letter. I'm like, dude, you should have been like opening your box, opening your package. Instead, he's just like staring intently at his box. There's no mention of Morgan when Feeney is telling Amy she must be comforted by the thought of Eric still being there, and I will talk more about Morgan later. And so the war ends. They started the episode with the war beginning in 1941. Now the war has ended and it's 1945. So they've been stuck in this time vortex for 4 years, for an entire war. What?
Yeah.
What is this timeline? First of all, they said that Salem needed to like digest or get the time ball out. Hopefully his digestive system moves faster than 4 years. This timeline makes 0 sense. And none of them have gone home during the 4 years of the war. They've had no leave whatsoever. They've all stuck together in the same troop. None of them have aged. Like, I'm sure fighting in the trenches of World War II would age a person, but we've been at war for 4 years. Okay, take it away, Sky.
Oh, time. Salem does try to call Sabrina for rescue and cries into the phone that they haven't invented kitty litter yet since it's the 40s, and so he must be rescued. Which is maybe why he can't get rid of that time ball. Because he doesn't have cat litter. He refuses.
He's one of those really picky cats.
But never fear, Salem. This is the one deep dive I decided to do Friday night before being tired. Edward Lowe comes to the rescue in 1947 when he invents modern cat litter. He was also in the Navy during World War II.
So if Salem just waits 2 more years after the 4 years he's already waited.
Yep, basically, but he chooses to jump in time and make life harder for himself there. There's a delightful picture of Edward that's very 90s. It's Edward Lowe holding cat. We should probably take photos of Riversong and Mabel like that as well.
I will try to hold Mabel. That does not always work well.
If y'all look up Ed Lowe on Wikipedia, you can see it in case we forget to share on the socials.
There's no mention of the cats that Ed Lowe had on his Wikipedia page, and I feel like that's a gross omission.
Oh, definitely. And also, Edward Lowe, parentheses, holding cat under his picture. What's the name of the cat? Give me that cat name.
Is that even his cat?
Some fun facts about Ed Lowe. The small business school described him as building a huge business from nothing, and cites him as a textbook example of an individual who created a product, brought it to the marketplace, invented an industry, and sold his business for millions. By the time of his death, his company was worth about $500 million, or $1.03 billion today, adjusted for inflation.
Wow.
Little capitalist dream there. After the invention of kitty litter, he actually in later years was working on developing a litter product for chimpanzee waste with Jane Goodall, but was unable to develop a successful product.
Was that because the chimpanzees wouldn't use it or because it didn't work?
You know, they don't tell me.
I feel like trying to get a chimpanzee to use litter is not that easy.
Probably not. Back to Boy Meets World.
When this boy meets world. Days later. Days? Months? I don't know. Sometime later, Sean and Topanga prepare to be wed. Although nobody truly wants it, they do it because it was Cory's last wish. Amy, however, refuses to believe that her son is dead and sends Eric to Europe to find Cory. In Europe, Eric and Jack visit a French bistro where they find Cory, who thinks that he is a tortured Frenchman suffering from amnesia, and he is in love with Versailles, a French woman. Eric, unable to jog Cory's memory, agrees to marry him in Versailles. Meanwhile, in the United States, Topanga is unable to marry Sean because she feels Cory is alive. Also, you shouldn't marry somebody just because your dead boyfriend said that he wanted you to. Amy attempts to reassure her and tells her that she sent Eric to find him, but Morgan, who finally gets a line, makes her realize that sending Eric wasn't the best way to go. Topanga and Amy apparently then fly to Europe and interrupt the wedding, and Cory is unable to remember Topanga until she kisses him, which restores his whole memory.
40s travel is not that quick.
So they say that Eric is in France 6 months after the end of the war, because he says, like, 6 months ago we were fighting together, and now they're making, now they're rude to us. So it's 4 years and 6 months. Good job. Morgan got a line. And apparently she was in an earlier scene where I just completely missed her.
Yes, if she's the little blonde girl.
Yeah, but she was completely useless in this episode. And I love how Topanga shows up right as the wedding is about to happen. Just smack dab right in the nick of time. Cory, Topanga, Jack, Eric, and Amy all return to the United States. Back in high school. The war started in their senior year of high school. It's been 4 years and 6 months, but we're back in high school. Okay. Cory tells Sean he wishes to propose to Topanga with a ring he found from the Cracker Jack box. Just as he tells Topanga he wants to ask her something, the world returns back to 1997 and Cory gives Topanga the ring.
We actually see Salem as a puppet, which I was glad for. The rest of the episode was a real-life cat actor who was fantastic, but it was nice to also see the actual puppet character as well.
And that's the Boy Meets World episode. So next we're going into You Wish. This is season 1, episode 7, Genie Without a Cause. And it will actually be canceled after this episode. Even though there were 6 episodes that had already been filmed, those 6 episodes won't be aired until May and June of 1998. And it will replace the Teen Angel slot after Teen Angel is canceled.
Harsh.
Yeah. Which, having watched this You Wish episode, I can see why it was canceled.
I do not feel bad at all given this episode.
I know I'm not going to get into the actors, but I know it's Jerry Van Dyke who's in this one. And I'm assuming he's brothers with Dick Van Dyke because they look and sound the same. Do you think Jerry was ever like, I can't believe they gave you Mary Poppins and I got this shit?
I could only hope so.
I hope they thought about that for a very long time. Our description for this one is very short because you can't find TV Guide descriptions for You Wish. It's just a time warp sends the apples to the 1950s. It's directed by Jeff McCracken and written by Jeff Sherman, who are major mainstays on Boy Meets World. They did a bunch of episodes of Boy Meets World, which makes sense because the showrunner for You Wish is also Michael Jacobs, like it is for Boy Meets World. Overall thoughts, Sky?
See, it looks like I was so confused this entire time. What was this show?
This was rough. There was not a lot of explanation. I felt like there needed to be so much more explanation. Also, compared to the magic special effects we had seen in Sabrina, and I know Sabrina is different because it's not filmed in front of a live audience and You Wish was. When you're being held to the standard that is set by Sabrina, you need to be so very careful when you try to do another magic show. Like, those special effects were just rough. So I stole this summary from the Paley Center for Media. Salem goes to the Chamber of Commerce to try and get Felix the Cat added to the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
We start off strong with Salem as a puppet and saying that Lassie was a fraud and read the lines off Timmy's shoes. Salem also calls Lassie a he. Jill was watching beside me and just quietly whispered, Lassie was a girl. Just gonna share that with y'all as well.
Was Lassie fixed? Lassie would have to. Can you have an unfixed show animal? Like, I don't think that would work well. But I don't know, because it was also like the 50s? And who knows how animals were treated back then.
I don't want to Wikipedia.
No.
Not happening. Y'all can do your own research.
Meanwhile, Jeannie and Jillian, who's apparently a mother, and the master of Genie, I don't know. We don't get a ton of backstory on that. Realize that Mickey, who is a daughter, has a crush on a 16-year-old bad boy named Mitch Morrison. Jeannie is impressed that a concerned Travis looks out for his sister and decides to grant him a wish, a giant ice cream cone. Then Grandpa Max arrives telling Jeannie he shouldn't be granting wishes for someone that is not his master. And I did not understand that Grandpa's a genie until 3 scenes later. I was just like, oh man, this grandpa has a lot of opinions about genies. Okay. Salem then wanders in trying to get Jeannie to sign a petition in Felix the Cat's favor. Max then recalls his Kit Kat clock from the 50s and starts to fondly recall the simpler days. Salem then causes the group to materialize in that decade. My first question was, is the genie a chain smoker because of his voice? Very gravelly, very raspy. And he is disappointed a teen girl doesn't have a crush on him, which goes into your next thought, I think, Sky.
Yes. Terrible way to start things off.
Yes.
So before determining that the MM is Mitch Morrison, he's like, oh, you have a crush on Magic Man. And like, it was just so gross. How old is this genie? How old is this girl? I do not like this interaction. I know nothing about this show and I hate it. And dear Lord.
Yeah, I don't want to say that it's obvious that this is a Michael Jacobs show, but it's obvious that this is a Michael Jacobs show. Also, the other thing that was like, witches can detect genies. And I was just like, okay, there was a lot of witch lore that got thrown about in these episodes. I was like, sure, we'll accept it. Whatever.
I mean, they're not going to tell us in Sabrina, so...
Yep.
Do we accept it as canon, though?
I don't accept anything that happened in these 3 episodes as canon.
And then Salem willingly puts on a cute little red collar to carry around his petition for signing, was my other note.
And then you caught on to the fact that Grandpa's a genie much earlier than I did.
I was confused about the dynamics of, oh, their grandpa's a genie, that's how this genie. Still had no clue. I didn't even know their last name was Apple until you read that summary.
I don't think they mentioned their last name at all. Mitch shows up on his motorcycle to take Mickey on a date, and Travis confronts him. Jeannie insists that he will take care of things. Max tells the now beatnik Jeannie that he isn't allowed to help out with Jillian's command, and later Salem gets Max to help him call Sabrina. The boys' outfit didn't look like they changed it at all from like 90s to what decade are we in now? 50s, 60s,
50s.
50s? Like, it didn't look particularly 50s-ish. And that's where I was like, Grandpa was a GI genie. I need the backstory on him. And Sabrina has better magical effects. And then I got really excited because there was a Double Mint commercial. On their date, Mickey and Mitch travel to Makeout Point, but before they kiss, Travis arrives. Soon, Mitch has challenged Travis to a drag race. And this is where I was like, oh, Michael Jacobs has a type when it comes to bullies, because there's Harley in Boy Meets World, who's also like, ride a motorcycle, wear a leather jacket kind of guy. So who was Michael Jacobs traumatized by as a junior high kid?
Leather jacket, rides a motorcycle.
Yep.
Mitch has this great line of living in the moment with the past just a moment behind me.
I would date him. Not now. Not now. Meanwhile, Max and Jillian watch Genie at a poetry reading, an event which inspires a young Bob Zimmerman. Did we look up, is Bob Zimmerman somebody we're supposed to know?
Oh, gosh.
We should probably look that up.
Is Bob Zimmerman a person?
Oh, it is a person. Oh, it's Bob Dylan.
Oh, gosh. Whoops. We'll just hang our hats here or hang our microphones.
Can we just edit that out and be like, of course, he inspires a young Bob Zimmerman, a.k.a. Bob Dylan. We knew that.
Nope.
And this is where I was like, oh, Grandpa is Genie's grandpa, not the kids. That's confusing. Because even though I said he was a GI genie, I thought he was in the army in a unit of people who had genies.
Oh my gosh.
I still didn't think he was actually a genie until this scene.
I feel like might need to watch the first 6 episodes.
So Grandpa's not even in the first couple.
What?
Yeah, Grandpa doesn't get introduced, I think, until episode 3, because I looked into this, because I was like, what is this character? So I do think I actually need to, like, watch this show a little bit.
I mean, what, 2 hours of your life, maybe?
Yeah, it's probably not that much.
And then I had a note asking if this mother is a psychopath. The way she speaks is so weird and monotone and just creepy, and doesn't help that they just, like, refer to her as the genie's master.
The adult women in this part of TGIF, I'm excluding Sabrina because obviously Hilden's all their gems. The adult women in these episodes, where they're more male focused, are just so terribly one-dimensional, horribly written. There's no like autonomy. There's no depth to them. It's like they're a mom and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Single mother, and that's it, and must find a man.
Are they all? No, Amy's not a single mom.
Well, yeah, but these two.
Yeah, but I mean, even Amy was just kind of useless. Like, Amy in other episodes is like really good at giving advice and being involved with their kids. And for some reason, Amy lost a lot of brain cells when they time traveled.
She does become a riveting riveter, though.
I mean, good for her, but she sent Eric to look for her lost son, and normal Amy would have used that opportunity to lock Eric out of the house for good. I don't know. So the moms are just not well written. Afterward, Genie appears on the scene and aids Travis in his race with Mitch. Travis learns during the race that Mitch isn't such a bad guy. The race ends with Travis going off a cliff to avoid Salem and Genie having to rescue him. Max again complains of Genie breaking the rules, though he admits that Genie did the right thing. Then Sabrina arrives looking for Salem. However, he slips away with a female... It says cyclist. I'm going with biker because cyclist makes me think that you're riding a bicycle, and she was on a motorcycle. Heading for a meeting with the Teen Angel cast as the time warp adventure continues. I liked how they just casually had a full conversation while drag racing. And did we really need a full 30 seconds of that kid screaming? It was so long.
Had to raise the stakes before Genie saved him.
It was bad.
There were a couple of good lines. Grandpa says, make like a milk and shake. And then later on, Sabrina says, make like a rug and roll.
That one's kind of bad.
When I say they're good lines...
Yeah.
We do learn that Sabrina now also knows how to make inanimate objects in general fly, as she borrows a bike since there's no vacuum at hand, and we end with an E.T. reference of her biking in front of the moon.
On to our final episode of the night. This is Teen Angel, Season 1, Episode 7, One Dog Night. Our description is Marty makes Judy's dog his disco date when he time travels to the 1970s. We will recognize this director because it's Gary Halverson, and writer is Michael Price. Overall thoughts on this one, Sky?
You know, I wrote nothing, so I guess it was fine.
No, you better not be fine with this episode. This episode made me so so uncomfortable. I'm so uncomfortable with the concept of this episode. I'm so uncomfortable with the angel character. Everything about this just made like I need to go take a shower afterwards.
Okay. Then I'll say that I had no words for it and just closed my laptop and said, I need to sleep and get this out of my mind.
There we go. So I also stole the summary for this one from the Paley Center for Media. Steve, who is the alive boy, struggles with homework as Marty, the angel boy, appears on a Friday night bringing noisemakers from Heaven's Election Day celebrations. Then the Beauchamps find a stray black cat, Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, who transports everyone back to the 1970s after Judy recalls Cat Stevens, the feline she owned in that decade.
I was excited because I found the version with the ads there, and at this point, we got ads for Advil, JCPenney, the Flubber trailer, which might be time to go rewatch Flubber, and then Angels in the End Zone.
Oh, I also got Angels in the End Zone in my You Wish. My one thought on this scene was Nixon is in heaven? That doesn't seem right. At school, as America celebrates its bicentennial, Jordan talks about the roller rink being turned into a disco. Only Marty seems to notice something weird is going on and that they are now in the wrong era. Then Judy returns home after another bad date, bemoaning that men aren't as nice as the family dog Boo. Who says that? Okay, I'm sure somebody out there has been like, oh, I wish I had a man that loved me as much as my dog, but that's such a weird thing to say. Steve encourages Marty to turn Boo into a man for his mother. Quickly, Boo becomes Bob Dogman, a human who still has some canine tendencies. Bob likes Judy and says he liked her as a dog, so he decides to go along with the plan, eventually asking her out on a date.
I will say that dead boy, Steve? No, Marty, does try to say that Judy at least deserves a stately elk instead of the dog.
Sure. Let's turn animals into men for your mom to date. Meanwhile, no one notices that this kid apparently talks to himself.
Oh, I have that note later on too.
Oh,
like, it's not even subtle.
No, like his little sister, again, little sisters are useless in these episodes. She's like standing right next to him when he's at the kitchen counter talking to Marty, and she just doesn't even register that he's having a full-on conversation with someone she can't see. I said again, a pretty terrible depiction of a mom. Marty is picturing his friend's mom in revealing clothing and gets distracted by that thought. That's uncomfortable. And then tells his friend that's what he was doing. And I was just said, I am incredibly uncomfortable with this storyline. If the mom loved Bob and they got married, and now you know your mother's married to a dog, what was the long-term plan here?
You know, they're teenage boys, and I do not think they were thinking through that. I guess you could use the phrase, he's such a dog, more frequently.
Oh my gosh. I was just like, it was really uncomfortable too. And the dog was like, oh, I love your mother. I'm like, okay. We could have come up with a better storyline than this. This is awful. This also didn't need to be in the 70s. Nothing about this needed to happen in the 70s.
No. Also, human kids' sideburns were terrible.
Oh, yeah. Later, Marty goes to speak with Rod, wondering why everyone has been transported to the 70s. Rod reveals that by the end of the night, Bob will revert back to Boo. That evening, Bob arrives at the house, already showing some canine tendencies, which I feel like we used that phrase earlier, but okay.
So Rod is God?
I think Rod is God's brother or something like that.
Okay.
I vaguely remember that. I could be wrong. Bob takes Judy to the disco where Sabrina is searching for Salem. Sabrina, who is able to see Marty, deflects his advances because apparently this angel kid is just so randy.
Creepy teenage boy.
So creepy.
Who maybe shouldn't be an angel.
Yeah, like, okay. If this is a heaven where Nixon can get in, then I guess this makes sense. Sure. Meanwhile, Bob has grown a tail. Then, as Steve notices that it is almost time for Bob to turn back into Boo, he gets Bob away from his mother.
There's a great dialogue exchange of dead guy saying, I'm an angel, and Sabrina being like, oh, well, I'm a witch. And dead guy's, a witch, next you'll be telling me there's genies and boys meeting worlds. And Sabrina says, you wish.
I have to believe that line came directly from ABC executives because I refuse to believe that any writer worth their salt would actually write that line.
Best part of this episode, once again, the ads where we get Rice Checks, The Sears Credit Card, Mortal Kombat Annihilation Trailer,
Oh.
Johnson's Baby Shampoo, McDonald's, and then Recess on Saturday mornings. I loved Recess.
I actually just did a rewatch of Recess like 6 months ago, I think.
Amazing.
It's fun. Again, I just was like, Marty is incredibly unlikable. I'm honestly surprised the show lasted for as long as it did. He's just terrible. He's a terrible person. I also don't feel like he like learns any lessons or grows as a person at all throughout this episode. There's no growth for the male characters.
Agreed.
In the men's room, Bob pleads for a chance to say goodbye to Judy. Meanwhile, Marty discusses with Sabrina how Salem managed to change time. Salem then coughs up the time ball, which gets them all back to 1997. En route, they bring Hilda and Zelda back from the 60s, Cory, Topanga, and Eric back from the 40s, and Jeannie, Jillian, and Grandpa Max back from the 50s. Finally, the time warp adventure concludes as Marty flirts with Sabrina before they say their goodbyes.
Okay. Just count down. 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s. Do not do 40s before 50s. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Then Sabrina does tell Marty she has a boyfriend and then says she's going to live for 1,000 years. Is this canon? Is this full witch lifespan? Half witch? Random number just written into this there? I don't know anymore.
We're never going to reference that line again, probably.
Cool.
We'll see. I'll be surprised.
We get some ads for Pizza Hut's The Edge Pizza, which is a pizza with no slices.
Oh,
just
I
pieces.
saw that one too. Yeah.
That was confusing.
How do you feel about that? Would you eat that? I like crust. I like something to hold on to. I like the crust part.
Nowadays, I eat my pizza with a fork and knife more often than not, so take it or leave it.
Fancy.
I don't like grease.
That's what paper towels are for. Just blob the grease.
But just blob the grease. That's fine. It'll definitely take the feeling off your fingertips. Also, Nintendo 64, Dimetap, grape flavor.
Ugh.
JCPenney again, and then Penn and Teller, Home Invasion.
All right. Glad to see Penn and Teller still at work.
Then during the end tag, Sabrina meets the head. So the head, I'm assuming, just exists somewhere in this other realm. I don't know how these...
I think this is a third realm because she's never been here before. I think this is a different place.
Third realm. And the fourth realm with the genies. Who knows? The final ad post that end credit is Salem giving everyone a send-off post their lovely TGIF time warp. And then TGIF letting you know that next week the Backstreet Boys are going to be performing during the lineup.
Ooh, that was probably huge.
Yeah.
Okay, my questions were... At the Sabrina end tag that we talked about last week, they were waiting for Salem to get rid of the time ball in the litter box.
But he coughs it up because Dead Boy is so nauseously gross.
Yes. Which agreed, Salem. Good job, Salem. Did they just create that end tag for syndication so it would make sense? Or did they actually show that at the end of all of these episodes still? But if you saw the Salem send-off, then maybe that was the end. So maybe they didn't actually show that end tag on this night. Maybe they made that end tag for syndication. But the Boy Meets World end tag is the same.
They must have made the Litterbox one for syndication because the one at the end of this was just Hilda and Zelda, talking about should have kept the pants, essentially.
Yeah. Which I thought she got her pants back because Sabrina went back in time.
But then she lost them again after...
Because it's been 4.5 years?
Yeah, 4.5 years and the time ball's finally been coughed up.
Although in the other Sabrina end tag, they say it's been a week.
It must be more localized then, too.
Yeah. So this is my other question is how localized are the effects of the time ball? Because they show everybody is simultaneously in their own time warps. So just because it's the 40s and Boy Meets World, it's still the 60s. It's Sabrina, which was weird. But like, how big is the radius? And like, if you go out of that radius, you're suddenly back in modern times. But anybody who goes into the bubble is now suddenly transported back in time.
Yeah, and then you have Sabrina traveling through the different time. Not to the 40s, but through the 50s and 60s. Oh, this hurts my head. I need more caffeine.
This was not well thought out. I feel like we could have done like, let's get rid of the 40s. Let's ignore the 40s. If we're starting in the 60s in Sabrina, then we can do like the 50s, the 20s, maybe skip the 10s because nobody wants to deal with World War I. We do like turn of the century instead. Like we go like way back and make it super fun. Like, or make it like silent movie or something like, and actually make the plot lines relevant to the time that they're in, like Sabrina's was, like Boy Meets World's was. Teen Angels was not. Teen Angels was just disturbing and would be disturbing in any decade you put it in.
If Salem's gonna be petitioning for Felix the Cat, then put the genies in like silent movie times.
Yeah.
Because that's when Felix the Cat had his heyday before Mickey came and destroyed things.
And then, like, let's maybe not do war. Let's just not do war. Let's not do a 4-year war. We'll do that one war that we talked about on one episode where it was like 3 days.
The first Boer War.
The first Boer War. Let's do that war. Oh, man. Okay. I can't talk about this anymore. I need to go take some Benadryl. You need to go wear off the effects of some caffeine. We both need to come down, basically.
Our apologies to the Bob Dylan estate.
Oh, gosh. Please, no one comment on that. I will block you from our Instagram.
No, we need the followers.
We do need followers. Okay, speaking of, you can like, share, rate, and subscribe to this podcast. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com. And you can follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod or TikTok at something.witchy.pod. Until next time.
Stay magical.